Hi, my name is Louis Schwartz, and I'm going to discuss my favorite part of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex. There's a picture of the prefrontal cortex. As you can see, she is quite lovely, situated in the frontal part of the brain right there. So let me go ahead and, sorry, Stevie, I'm going to shut you down for a minute there as we move on. The PFC is a part of the brain. It's located, again, at the front of the frontal lobe. It is implicated in a variety of complex behaviors, including planning, and greatly contributes to personality development. Some of the commonly understood PFC functions include, but are not limited to, coordinating and adjusting complex behavior, impulse control and organization of emotional reactions. This gets into why teenagers, as their brain are developing, may not be quite into us, may not have quite the control, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Focusing and organizing attention, complex planning, considering and prioritizing competing and simultaneous information. The ability to ignore external distractions is partially influenced by the prefrontal cortex as well. Again, a lot of these higher level are what we think of as higher level functions. There are competing theories about how best to categorize parts of the prefrontal cortex. One popular categorization breaks the cortex into the dorsal prefrontal cortex, which connects with brain areas related to attention and cognition, and the ventral prefrontal cortex, which is connected with brain areas related to emotion. The prefrontal cortex is also a repository for information about arousal, or as Dr. Ruth, I'm showing my age here, says arousal, which may explain why the prefrontal cortex is involved in regulating attention and distraction. Most neurologists agree that the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until around the age of 25, although in some cases I would argue much, much later. This gets to our discussion a little bit about teens and risky behavior. For those of you who are fans of Dazed and Confused. And this talks about another area of the PFC, the lateral area of the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for mature self-regulation and develops more gradually over the adolescence period. And I wish, again, I would have known this when I was a teenager, because I would have had a much, much better excuse when talking to my parents about some of the behavior that I engaged in. Changes in the brain during this early adolescence period make teens more focused on the rewards of peers and being included in peer activities. This increased focus on peers occurs during a time when the PFC is not yet ready to assist in mature self-regulation. These factors provide a perfect storm of opportunities for risky behavior. A lot of that with driving, myself included. I had 11 points on my license, multiple tickets, multiple accidents, and yes, I was tempted in a very real-world situation, as the picture demonstrates there. So again, it's one of the reasons, not necessarily an excuse, but one of the reasons why teens are more apt to engage in riskier behavior, because they don't have that self-regulation fully matured yet in their biology of their brain. So what happens? Then you have a mature PFC, and what if it's damaged? So, and there's a reason why I have that picture there, not to get too political, but oh well. Patients with damage to the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain we were discussing before with teens, the damage delivers abnormal judgments in response to moral dilemmas, and that these patients are especially impaired in triggering emotional responses, see Twitter account of said picture, to inferred or abstract events, example intentions, as opposed to real or actual outcomes. So again, the PFC, very important in regulating those higher level functions, regulating behavior, regulating risk, regulating judgment, and damage, as we can see, to that PFC may just send the world into a tailspin. So that's all I got for now. Enjoy the class and have a great day.